Day 6, New England. The van is packed and it's off to Peyton Aram, an hour drive from Woods Hole. Just before sunrise, the rods, reels, and gear are loaded onto a 61-foot Swordfish at New Bedford Yacht Club. Next stop, the Northeast Canyons and Seamounts, where Swordfish will break spirits and fulfill dreams. It's 130 miles offshore, a 5-hour run at 20 knots. The crew takes shifts at the helm. The boat reaches the first canyon after midnight. Then it's lines in all night, all day, and all night again. You don't make this kind of trip for sporty, light tackle fun. This mission is about the Atlantic gladiators. Everything is bigger. The species, the seas, the reels, the fuel bill, the risks, and the rewards. Chest puffers beware. Pretenders will not last. Skills and know-how aren't good enough. It takes guts, nerve, delusions of grandeur. It requires fighters who work longer hours than the sun. Two weeks, 3 states, 1 Airbnb, 4 cameramen, $12,000 in bait, tackle, food, and fuel. 1 guy who knows a guy, and that guy knowing a few other guys. It all adds up to one epic fishing adventure in America's birthplace. 6 northeastern states comprise New England, Maine the biggest, Rhode Island the smallest. Once you bypass New York, New England doesn't end until you hit Canada. Cape Cod and Woods Hole, Massachusetts serve as our team's home base. For the first part of the trip, the smaller, sportier species were the targets: false albacore, bluefish, and black sea bass. Learning from the locals, seeing the region through their eyes, fully embedded. Now, the headliners. Bluefin tuna and swordfish are species listed at market price on the menu for a reason. Because anglers can spend everything and get nothing. It takes more than bait and a boat. Just ask Captain John Galvin. He'll tell you catching bluefin is not a middle-of-the-road endeavor. It's arm wrestling a torpedo designed by nature.
Nothing pulls like a full-grown bluefin. When you see a 130 class reel just get absolutely vaporized, it's the worst thing because you can't repeat it. Blue marlins are fun, they're up top, they do all their big dance, but giant bluefins just get down and dirty. They're the Atlantic locomotives, and they will find anything wrong in your gear. If you have any hiccup whatsoever in your rigging, a giant bluefin will exploit it. I think I lost the first 10 giants I ever hooked, and it was that proverbial big fish lost. I was just like, I have to figure this out. I have to master it. I gotta catch one of these things, otherwise I'm gonna end up in the nut house.
Galvin entices us with fantasies of giants over 500 pounds. Having to catch one fish with 2 reels is not unheard of. But we have to play the odds to optimize our chance of success. That means going after regular bluefin. Keep in mind, a regular can make you lose a digit when leadering it to the boat. Captain Jack Sprangle of East Coast Charters has traveled the world chasing trophy game fish, but we're about to get a fix in his backyard.
The false albacore in here were kind of our gateway drug to tuna, so we always make sure we make time to catch those, especially on the right gear. It's fun. Totally different animal up here than they are down south. They have a different esteem up here. Love the color on these. Short.
No more albies for us. Captain Jack Sprangle has made other plans, and they're anything but regular. Captain Jack treated us to the March of the Albies. Bent rods were a dime a dozen. When it's good, albie fishing is a speed sport. One after the other. High-octane, football-sized missiles that don't stop. By day's end, your adrenal glands are tapped like an empty keg. After the albies, Captain Jack wants to chase its big bully of a cousin, the bluefin tuna. Tackling a pissed-off brute requires the right gear. Big water requires big boats. That's why the Yellowfin 36 Offshore made the trip north with us. On board, the Simrad NSS-12 Evo 3 combines a chart plotter, broadband sonar, and HD structure scan in one touchscreen unit. The Yellowfin is powered by triple 300 Mercuries. That much big engine power is necessary when covering a lot of ground. The Yeti Flip 12 is a soft cooler for hardcore conditions. Compact, leak-proof, and armed with a shoulder strap, you're hands-free as you wade through any situation. Penn's Carnage 2 and Slammer 3 provide stability and a robust drag system to slow the bluefin train. Costa sunglasses have heavy-duty polarized lenses for optimal clarity during long days in the sun. A custom fiberglass replica by King Sailfish Release Mounts is the perfect reminder of your storybook catch.
All around us, we got whales feeding in tight. Right off of Race Point, the very northernmost tip of Cape Cod. Curving around the backside right now. Drops off real fast. I mean, it'll be a shallow beach there, 40 feet of water, and it goes to 200 real fast. That's why you got so many great whites up here cruising the beach for seals. They'll come right up in the center and just inhale a whole school of bait in one shot. The tuna will come up and pick in that bubble feed.
Typically, you find the majority of your bluefins in with the marine mammals, usually the humpbacks or the finback whales, which are indicative of the larger bait concentrations that the tunas will be on. So a lot of that is about getting set up, getting around that life, and being uncomfortably close to them too in certain situations.
Yeah, another fish just showed there long. Yeah, they are pushing pretty hard. Oh, that's him. What you need, Jack? Come on. Yeah, he hit it on the retreat. Big color right there. Neutral? Neutral. Woo! My man! That's how we do it, baby. That's a 60-inch fish.
So the cool part about these shoulder loins is that they're really quite large on the fish that we've been dealing with. Than traditionally what you'd see from something like a yellowfin loin or something like that. But the disadvantage with the shoulder line is typically it's going to eat where the gaff goes in. Here you can actually see the exit point of the gaff in the fish. Then you can see these hematomas in the muscle, a bunch of muscle damage all going through there. When you sank the gaff in this particular fish, it absolutely exploded, and you can see all the damage has been taken down. So as we break down these cuts, we're gonna have to go through and we're gonna have to trim and remove, obviously we're gonna have to remove these tendons and ligaments. As you can see, just kind of how vascular the tuna fish are, and you can see how much blood and how much fascial tissue is running through these animals. They're incredibly powerful, they're designed for efficiency, they're perfectly evolved, and they're perfectly designed to be apex predators in an aquatic habitat.
Bluefin deserve respect. Back home, these fish are usually wrapped in seaweed alongside chopsticks. Not out here. The only seafood bib is the one that goes down to your ankles.
They are one of the most highly designed creatures out there, and they're just finicky enough where if you're not on point, they can be tough to catch, which makes them fun because they got quirks and weirdness and specificity. But the interesting thing about them too is, unlike a fish, say like a permit, which is just an illogical creature that's an alien in its own environment and will give you refusals for no reason, with a tuna, if you don't catch a tuna, it's because you're doing something wrong. But the second you do something right with tuna, you get bit instantly.
One beast down, one to go. Before diving back into the deep end, let's take a breather and head into Woods Hole, one of the country's epicenters of marine science. Woods Hole. It's living inside a cover of the Saturday Evening Post. It's waving good morning to your neighbor through picket fences. Cedar-shingled houses on sycamore streets. The only grime in this village comes from the day's catch. One of the most beautiful parts of Woods Hole is a place that visitors don't get to experience. It's a local thing. Thankfully, we meet Simon Miner. He's the dude of Woods Hole, the New England Lebowski. He brings us to the gutters.
It's just like a labyrinth of like tidal channels and ponds, and on the whole island it's 9 miles long. I mean, you could run naked around the far end of the island for 5 miles and nobody even notice. It's beautiful. And you get out here and you look at it, it's like going back in time. It looks just like it did 1,000 or even 10,000 years ago. It just looks just the same. There's no development, whether you're fishing or anything to do with nature, even a bird. We're just into seeing what the world might have looked like 1,000 years ago. It's pretty cool just to come out here and hang out.
Simon's right. This place is packed with beauty. It's funny to think about how tourists flock to Martha's Vineyard for a polished, postcard version of nature. Meanwhile, they pass this hidden maze of wilderness. The population of Woods Hole is roughly 800 people, the size of some high school graduation classes. But it makes a national impact. It's the central nervous system of the marine biology community in Massachusetts and beyond. From Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute to NOAA's Northeast Fisheries Lab to the Marine Biological Laboratory. There's a reason why all this marine science nerddom is concentrated in one spot.
It's the location. You can go to the canyon in a day. So you can go from these all kinds of shallow waters, estuaries, there's a lot of different sort of habitats, all kind of concentrated and all within short distance. And then you have this clash of water. You have these big eddies from the Gulf Stream. And they come slamming in this place, and this water is like 75, 76 degrees, and it's just a few degrees cooler than Florida.
Simon recommends a trip to the Marine Biological Laboratory, which he describes as a hotel for marine species. David Remsen is at the heart of MBL. He explains its mission:
Essentially, our job is to keep as many marine animals from as many different parts of the world healthy and alive as we can. So what this building provides us with is essentially options. Options to have seawater at any temperature, any type of water quality, so that whatever species we want to keep here, we have the capacity to do that. We rely on marine biodiversity to provide the raw materials for which we can understand almost any question about biology, about life, about living things. And many of the people that are here, they're not marine biologists. They're studying cancer, they're studying diabetes, neurodegenerative disease. For many reasons, even the biology of ourselves, we are not always the most convenient thing to study. And furthermore, we're very complicated organisms, and our brain is doing lots of different things. Our eye is a very complicated eye. And so we can turn to other organisms that have other features that might be easier to understand.
Remsen is currently focused on squid. It's one of the primary studies in the building. In fact, their squid findings aren't just for bettering marine science, but humankind.
These squid here are used by people who study neurodegenerative disease and dementia, Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's, etc., because these are diseases of the nervous system and the functioning of neurons.
After a quick tour, Remsen sends us on a quest. A collecting trip on the good ship Gemma. The Gemma's purpose is to gather species for research. Today, there's an order for a couple hundred squid. The purpose? Help us learn more about neurodegenerative diseases. Heading out on this boat with these scientists and researchers, there's a sense of purpose and satisfaction. Their work can benefit patients with debilitating diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. One species helping out another. It's time for the next challenge. An opponent armed with a stiff upper lip made of bone and cartilage. But this fight isn't in the backyard. The battleground is 130 miles away. "130 miles east-southeast of Cape Cod, New England's northeast canyons and seamounts is an angler's Atlantis. It covers 4,900 square miles, roughly the size of Connecticut. The warm Gulf Stream waters collide with the cold Labrador Current, creating temperature breaks and a nutrient-rich environment for bait fish. Small fish attract big fish, which attract big boats, which attract big attention. Anglers, divers, humpback whales, sharks, submarines. All of them have been attacked by the cagey, nickel-skinned loner known as the swordfish. Fishing for swords in New England's northeast canyons requires the right boat, the right crew, the right gear. Lucky for us, we meet one family that checks all three boxes. The Howard family of Little Compton, Rhode Island, takes us out on Tokatomist, a 61-foot custom-built sport fish. Daytime dropping for swords is a fairly new phenomenon. It's hard to find captains who spend much time on it. In fact, none of the local anglers and captains we spoke to had heard of a TV crew capturing daytime sword fishing in the canyons. Here's how it works. Drop the belly strips and let them fall. It takes a solid 15 minutes for it to get down to 1,500 feet. That's more than a quarter mile.
Got the harpoon ready, we got gas ready.
5 bites, 2 hookups.
Northeast daytiming.
On the way out to the swords, dolphin end up as bait or a quick lunch for us. Seems like these mahi would rather be on a sandwich than slashed by a sword. A lazy afternoon on Martha's Vineyard provides a much welcome break before departure. Everywhere you look, locals and tourists, insiders and outsiders blend together.
It's home. Been fortunate to go to a lot of great places in the world, but it's always something about coming back to your home waters.
For John Galvin, New England has a magnetic pull. As a result, his is a life blessed with home field advantage. We arrived feeling like the visiting team and left exhausted with an equal number of wins and losses. Out on the water, insiders and outsiders blend together too, because it's a small band of brothers at the mercy of the mightiest force of them all, the sea.